Hi all, CTR here. We've been a little ways not making enough videos. We've been doing a lot of filming, but we haven't made very many videos for you. Trying to make some shorts. As you can see, it's rainy, it's nasty outside. We got the pool set up. We're working on it. I'm trying to get everything organized so I can build a shop, and I still don't have my dozer home, so we got that problem. However, I have been around other things. I have been doing some front end alignment work on a couple of these old cars, getting ready to anyway. I've been working on her car. It was pulling to the ditch a little bit. It didn't have a shim in it after I redid everything, new control arm bushings and all that. And I thought, well, I don't have a shop floor even out here, but you can align these things without all that mess. And I'm gonna give you a crash course on it, and I may go in depth a little bit further and show you how to use a string and some jack stands to go around it and do your measurements. But anyway, I've got her car right here that I've been working on, and I brought it up to where it's not pulling in the ditch no more. It's not eating the tires off of it, and I'm not quite done with it. Weather just keeps whooping my ass, but if you know how it's driving, you can generally go put them close enough, they'll not eat the tires and they'll drive really well. They may not be just perfect, but they'll probably be as close as GM put them out the factory. Anyway, stay tuned and I'll get right back to you, and I'll show you how we're going about this and how you too can align the front end of your car pretty close. CTR. Here we are. I have a parts car out here. I love this old parts car. Man, it's one of my most valuable players. It just keeps donating. Got her in Batesville, Arkansas. Hello, Manly Fox. But anyway, we've been realigning the front end on these cars, and I've got one side apart so you can see how this is predominantly set. And there's a shim in this one. It's not been taken apart terribly, but I've got the spindle off of it, and I can show you how this will actually lean. And I can show you how to kind of measure it and get it very, very close. And the rake of the car, how high it is up on in the back, like if you're got her jacked up in the back pretty good with some air shocks, you need to accentuate how much camber and caster you're putting on these things, because it makes it run downhill and it changes the angle of the upper control arm, and thereby changing the angle of the spindle pivot points from up and down. And basically there's some measurements that, you know, the factory says to use so many degrees off of level, off of plumb, to lean the spindle back. A lot of that's more for how well it returns back into your hand when you let go of the steering wheel after going around a corner. And some of it's to keep it from following grooves in the road. It gets it off its toes some more. They'll drive better when they're leaned back farther. You may have just a little bit more bump steer if it's too much, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I'll show you where we can do this. Right here is an upper control arm. Hello, parts car. These are our shims. This is the brand I'm using. They got them off of Amazon. 144 pieces. Not really too much to them. If you look, they come in different thicknesses. That's a pretty thick one. I think I was using 1/8 inch on her car because that's about what it needed. This one's really thin. It looks like there's a couple of them in it on the front. And it's about how the jig was, how these are welded on here. The jig just a little off and stuff. It gives them some adjustment. Like I said, it also changes when you add more leaf springs in the back and it raises the back end. It physically lifts it up there, and it makes the spindle, when you jack it up in the back, lean forward more because it's up on its toes. Now this bottom control arm, the lower, is a fixed point. It's just got a ball socket and a stud that your spindle sets on. What we have here, this can actually lean back or forward to make these the same distance across at the spindle and the same distance across from the front to the rear axle, from front to back on both sides. That being said, that is not an exact number you want to achieve. do not want it symmetrical because of the crown and the road. Now, if you're worried about the rear end has a little bit off, the bushings are a little bit whipped, maybe you want to check it, just pick a fixed spot on the frame underneath and measure forward on both sides, and there'll be some jig marks, you know, where the frame is set down. There'll be some specific holes in the frame that you can measure to that are the same on both sides, and that's how I like to measure them. It'll be close enough. If you really want to, you can measure from the end of this spindle right here at the lower spindle bolt back to it on each side. That'll get you really, really close. But anyway, that being said, I'm going to set this up here to mock it in place real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, I've got it mocked up on the upper control arm. I've left the bottom loose so I can show you the lean easier, so I don't want to take all this apart. It's trying to rain and I'm kind of in a hurry, but at any rate, we're going to use some fictitious measurements, but it'll give you the idea how to perform this. Alright, what I have is this is my level surface down here, like my shop floor or whatever, and we'll say the car is sitting dead level on level ground. And you can check it with your level, make sure everything's honky-dory. Then you can take this, just any square that'll reach tall enough, and you can measure, pick you a spot on the spindle to measure to, like that one and this one, and you can run your torpedo level this way, and you can see, man, that thing's dirty, but you can see how far out of level you are. I don't know if this one's long enough. You might have to use your straight edge to step it out, but I kind of use a jig sometimes. I can almost eyeball it. But basically you want this to be leaned back at the top so many degrees at ride height. That means if the back's jacked up, you're probably going to have to lean it back more to get the camber and caster the way you want it. And I would put shims in the back of this to do so. And if I'm wanting to go in and out, I mean, there's a plate right here you can measure off the face to find out if it's true, or you can square off of it and check your spindle, but it should be square with that plate right there. And get a better angle on that. But if you square it off, the center of that spindle should be the same off of this plate right here. It should be very, very close. So that'll let you level up whether your camber's in and out where you want it, how much you need to take it in. That's probably going to be determined more by the crown of the road and what tires you're running. A little offset on the wheel kind of changes that some too. Like I said, you're kind of doing this by feel. Don't be afraid to move it around a little bit. But you'll put your bigger shims back here to lean it back until you get where you want this way. Till you lean the top of it back where you want it. And from that point on, you just need to figure your camber in and out this way. And you add the same amount back here as you add here, and it will be almost spot on. There's a little variance because angles and distortion, but it'll be very close. When you do that on both sides, and you've got it setting like you like, then you come out here to the tie rod end, and you loosen these, and there'll be pinch brackets. And I don't think you can see it on this one, but under the pinch brackets, there'll be a slot in this tube. You can use a pipe wrench to get on it. Sometimes you got to whack it with a hammer in the middle and really douse it up with some squirtum. But that will get your toe in set. And I just picked the center tread on the tires that I'm using. And I'll measure across and stick a nail in a board so you can reach the other side and hook your tape on it. And just move your board from front to back of the tires on a jack stand or whatever. You know, you want to keep it as high as you can. I know you got to clear the bottom of the oil pan to measure across there, but you can also put you a mark on the end of the board here on your measuring end, so you have a dummy spot and you can just figure how much difference there is from front to back. And I like about an 1/8 to 3/16 toe in positive. That means they're closer in the front than they are in the back. These cars tend to really drive well at about that, but you know, wider tires, maybe you don't need quite as much. It may drag more. You just have to feel what feels good to you, and kind of check and make sure it's not siping the tire too bad. Now there's one thing that you really need to pay attention to when you get your toe in set. Immediately go in and check your steering wheel before you tighten all the pinch clamps down. Go check your steering wheel, because it will have moved. I guarantee you, I don't care how much you try to lock it in place, it will not be straight. So you need to kind of roll it back and forth and figure out where straight is, and then adjust, because it won't be where you can just eyeball it off of the adjustments. Every one of these damn tie rod ends is machined off. Just shit, they might be off 1/4 inch from where they set the ball in the socket to the length of the threads. It just, they vary around a lot. But the other thing you really need to look for to make these things drive good is right down here. This is the idler arm. Notice the old bushings are rotten. Let's see if that's a lot of movement. Now, I have found a product. They call it a poor man's power steering kit, and it's a bearing and shim kit to go inside the old idler arm. You just knock the bushings out of it. Yes, they won't just press in. They're knurled, so they're supposed to just press in, but they won't. I guarantee you'll be grinding on it or fitting something. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, and I've been kind of learned. I've done so many of them that every one I've seen, I need to just about take most all the knurl off of the shims that press in, or the spacers that press into the arm. I need to just about take all the knurl off of it, and it's still pretty tight press fit. You'll need a C-clamp, and I mean, if you got an air chisel, that's helpful too. Kind of knock them on in there. And what'll happen is one of them will try to bind, especially in the steering arm itself, this part right here, this cross steering piece. It will try to bind on one side because the hole is not made straight through it. It's kind of at a weird angle in there. And so when you put a clamp on it, a C-clamp or something, and try to press them both in together, it'll pull one side and the other side will be hanging out, and that's a pain in the ass. So you probably need to hit it with a hammer and put them in one at a time. I try to set them on a jack stand and beat the crap out of them down if I can, to get them started real good, and then I try to just fit them. Now, some of these bearing kits I've gotten, there's two different types of these idler arms here. Some of them take a long bushing and some take a short. And I've run into a time where the bushing goes through is so much longer, it actually needs a sleeve in between those two pieces so they can't collapse any farther. And you just measure it out and cut you a piece of pipe that the pitman arm will, or the idler arm will run that shank through. And I don't have any problem with them. You just need to make sure it's right, kind of fit your pieces together loose out on the bench, and go from there. But I'll show you what that looks like installed. I do it to all my cars, and man, they just drive so good. They are like power steering. It's just more cranks for the steering wheel, but man, they turn so easy. And in some cases, if you got real skinny tires on and you're running in a pretty grooved up road, they'll literally try to follow the grooves in the road more. And that's why I probably put a little bit more toe in on these than I would most anything else, just to give them some positive toe in to help fight against following the grooves in the road so bad. We live out here in pretty steep country, a lot of twists and turns, not much highway, so it's just a better program for us. All right, I'm gonna dig under the car here and dig around and see if I can't get a picture of this bearing kit installed. I'll see you in a minute. Yeah, CTR again. Well, that about wraps it up. The rain has put a big delay on what's going on outside, so I guess I'm going to go in here and finish this editing up. But I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll try and get you some more information on this project a little later, and when I'm actually installing it in shims and doing it, and in case I run into any other little pitfalls that I might be able to keep you from making any wrong decisions on. But I can show you how they'll drive. I might even jack one up terribly bad so you can go see how it pulls the wheel on the road. It'll kind of pull it out of your hand if you do it just wrong. Don't fret, you guys can do this. A little bit of time, you might have to take it apart 2 or 3 times. It's not that big a deal. It's just a little bit of adjustment here and there, and go try it and see. CTR, I'm out.
The 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage, we're playing loud, surfing the crowd.